Let us now look at the differentiation of trig functions. So trig functions, these are trigonometrical functions. Dokunana sine, cos, tan, tichazoti, cosine, cot, etc. Saka topic kana kuti this part of differentiation inoda makaita the topic trigonometry. So we have a topic trigonometry which should be a precursor to this topic. But even if you are not so much knowledgeable about trigonometry, you can still do this part of our lesson on differentiation. Saka, these are the trig functions. Differentiation of trig functions. The functions have a predetermined set of results that are quotable, and these results are going to be part of your formula booklet. Kureva kuti you don't necessarily have to cram this, but you have to internalize it and you have to focus much more on usage. How do you differentiate trig functions? So I'm going to put down a table which contains these predetermined quotable results. This table is what are called standard results. Saka table yedu ngekadai so. We have a function and then we have derivative, like that. Saka tinge tichisa the trig function tovataisa its derivative. Samkaramba muchishandisa these results zvinopedzisira zvava second nature to you, which is the state we expect. So if we have sine theta as the function, our derivative is going to be cos theta. Kureva kuti the derivative of sine theta ndi cos theta. What about cos theta? What is its derivative? Derivative ya cos theta ndi minus sine theta. What about tan theta? Derivative ya tan theta ndi sec squared theta. What about cosec theta? Derivative ya cosec theta ndi minus cosec theta cot theta. What about sec theta? Derivative ya sec theta ndi sec theta tan theta. Then lastly, derivative ya cot theta ndi minus cosec squared theta. So this is the table of standard results. Kana tinema functions on our left, ma derivatives on our right. Kureva kuti the derivative of sine theta and cos theta, the derivative of cos theta and minus sine theta, the derivative of tan theta and sec squared theta, the derivative of cosec theta and minus cosec theta cot theta, the derivative of sec theta and sec theta tan theta, the derivative of cot theta and minus cosec squared theta. That is important. But taziva ma predetermined quotable results are in that table. What then should we know? The variations in the differentiation of trig functions are accounted for using the PTA strategy. So I'm going to write beside panapa using a different color for convenience sake, but you should understand what I'm trying to do here. Saka, write this note. To differentiate trig functions, we use what is called the PTA strategy. That is what we use. So if we want to differentiate trig functions, we are going to use what is called the PTA strategy. Saka PTA strategy chimbori chi. P yedu inenge yakamirira kuti we are going to differentiate with respect to the power. Saka p yakamirira derivative with respect to power, derivative with respect to power. T yakamirira the derivative with respect to the trig function. So derivative with respect to trig function. Then lastly, A yakamirira derivative with respect to algebraic expression. A yakamirira derivative with respect to algebraic expression. That is what this means. So you should be writing this in your notes so that patinoenda patinodzisa board up munenge makatozvitarisa tichitsanangura kuti zvinoitwa sei. To differentiate trig functions, we use the PTA strategy. P yakamirira derivative with respect to power. T yakamirira derivative with respect to trig function. A yakamirira derivative with respect to algebraic expression. So when we are differentiating trig functions, tichatanga tadila with the power, tozodila with the trig part, tozopesera tadila with the algebraic expression. Let us do the following examples so that you see what we mean. Saka example yatoda kuita yekutanga nde ino. Example yacho iri kuti kudini? Iri kuti Tapiwa y is equal to sine to the power 4 of 7 theta. Saka trig function yedu nde ino iyi, sine to the power 4 of 7 theta. How are we going to differentiate this? Chekutanga, panapa it's not dy dx, but it's rather dy d theta. And I will explain what I mean. Tinoti dy d theta because tikuda kudifferentiate y with respect to theta. Saka paipa tachiti dy dx because tachiti y is equal to something, a term in x. Saka y ino iyi inge chibva pana y wekutanga uyu. Then with respect to kana kuti d theta yakuchibva pane chi variable iri mukati me function yacho. Saka dy y iri kurepresenta function over d theta. Theta ndo variable iri mukati me function. Saka notation yakakosha, especially takuita implicit parametric differentiation where notation is going to be fundamental. So please make sure you zone in upper and you try to understand what is happening. So now calculating dy d theta, we are going to use what is called the PTA strategy. So inini even pandaiva mu A level, I would write beside with PTA strategy. So how do we go about the PTA strategy? Now with the PTA strategy tinotanga ta differentiate power. Saka power yatinayo panapa ndi uyu ndi 4 uyu to the power 4. Saka we know kuti pa differentiation power inodona kura kuti tenge tana 4 sine, then power yacho yo subtract wana 1, 4 minus 1, that is 3, 7 theta. So kana tada iso tato differentiate with respect to the power. So kana tato daro tinenge tato differentiate with respect to the power, and the power yakamirirwa na p in our strategy. Okay, takuda kuenda kuna t and post over pana p tienda pana t. Saka kana takuda kunyora the derivative with respect to the trig, kana takuda kudifferentiate trig tinongoti times, then the derivative toyonyora kunoko. Tikadzokera ku table yedu yatinenge tichiwana in our formula booklet, toda kuziva kuti what is the derivative of sine theta, because tina sine is the trig function. So the derivative of sine taona kuti ndi cos. So when we are differentiating with respect to the trig, tinenge takuti derivative yasin ndi cos, saka panapa takunyora kuti cos then tonyora 7 theta sezvaari. Kana tatodaro tatopedza kudifferentiata with respect to the trig. Saka kudifferentiata with respect to the power tiri kudhila na 4 anodona ozosubtractwa 1, zvimwe zvese tozvinyora sezvazviri sin of 7 theta. Then kana tichidifferentiata with respect to the trig tichangotarisa sin, toona kuti derivative ya sin ndiani ndi cos, saka our answer becomes cos 7 theta. And be careful to remember kuti it's cos 7 theta. 7 were very important. Then tapedza derivative with respect to trig takuti times derivative with respect to the algebraic part. Algebraic part amadzangu iri kungoreva 7 theta. Saka derivative ya 7 theta ndiani ndi 7. Kana tadai tabata all the areas of the PTA strategy: the power, the trig, the algebra. Now simplifying this, of course, ticha multiply my numbers. 7 uno times 4 uyo, 7, 14, 21, 28. So it's 28 sine cubed 7 theta cos 7 theta. That is going to be our final answer. Tadaite tatopedza. So it's not difficult. It's actually enjoyable. Let us look at example number 2. So for our example number 2, we are given that y is equal to tan to the power 5 of theta. Y is equal to tan to the power 5 of theta. We are also going to use the PTA strategy. Saka panapa remember inge irichi dy d theta. Saka dy d theta is equal to, starting with the power yedu ndi 5 anodona yova 5 tan, 5 yacho minus 1 ndi 4, saka 5 tan to the power 4 theta, like that. Twatati times, todzokera kutable kwedu, what is the derivative of tan ndi sec squared theta, kureva kuti panapa paticha differentiate with respect to trig inenge iri sec squared, then panapa pangorina theta, so it's theta times, then for our algebra tingorina theta kana kuti 1 theta, kureva kuti the derivative there is just going to be 1, like that. So our final answer is going to be 1 times 5, that's 5 tan to the power 4 theta sec squared theta, like that. That is what we are going to have. So it's enjoyable and it's wonderful. Let us now go to our third and last example. Example 3. We are still going to be using the PTA strategy. Saka example yedu iri kuti kudini, we have y is equal to cosec 2 theta. It's cosec 2 theta. Saka tikada kudifferentiata tichitanga na p and with respect to the power yedu panapa ndi 1. Muri kuzviona 1 yacho haina kunyorwa but iripo panapa ndi 1. Saka tikadzisa 1 uku tikazoti 1 minus 1 inoita 0, then anything to the power 0 ndi 1. Kureva kuti kana tisitori na power, we have no need to differentiate with respect to the power. Handizivi kuti zvandatsanangura muri kuzvitevera here, but kana power yedu ari 1, kureva kuti hatitori na power, we do not differentiate with respect to the power, because if we do that we loop back to 1. So after ndaiweka mawekero andoda kuti muzoita, ndichakuratidzai zvandiri kureva. Saka differentiating with respect to power tomboisa paside. Let us now differentiate with respect to the trig. So what is the derivative of cosec? Tikauya kunoku, the derivative of cosec ndi minus cosec theta cot theta. Saka panapa teta kunyora chi dy d theta is equal to minus cosec 2 theta cot 2 theta. Remember, for the angle which is 2 theta tinongoidzosa sezvairi. So that is what we are going to have. Tato differentiate with respect to what? To trig. What about with respect to algebra? Algebra yedu ndi 2 theta, so it's just times 2. Kurauta our final answer panapa ndi minus 2 cosec 2 theta cot 2 theta, like that. That is our final answer. So let me show you what I meant pananga ndichiti kana power yedu iri 1 kana kuti kana tisina a visible power, we don't differentiate with respect to power. So y being equal to cosec 2 theta dy d theta is equal to what? With respect to the power yedu apa ndiani? Ndi 1. Saka 1 ikadzika ichati 1 cosec 1 minus 1 2 theta times, then with respect to the trig ndo panenge pachibuda minus cosec 2 theta cot 2 theta with respect to algebra ndo panobuda 2. Saka this will be equal to 1 cosec to the 0 2 theta times and so forth. Saka panapa manje this reduces to what? To 1, because anything raised to the power 0 ndi 1. So it's moot, hatifaniri kuzviita kana tisina kupiwa a visible power. We just start with differentiating with respect to trig, then differentiating with respect to the algebraic expression. This is what we wanted to learn today. Any questions, post them in the comments, or if you want to talk to us directly for extra lessons and other things, get us on this number, which is 071-521-3310, preferably on WhatsApp. Thank you and have a nice day.